Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be ranking all 55 brawlers in the game from the very worst all the way up until the very best. So if you guys are excited for this type of content, make sure you subscribe because I will be doing a best builds video and also a power league guide within this week. So as I said, make sure you're liking the video. If we reach 2k likes, I will upload the best build in a couple of days time. So before we jump into the video, make sure you're using a create code in the shop. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into the rankings. Okay, so starting off with the worst brawler in the game right now, at number 55 we have a Lou. So especially since the removal of Siege, Lou just hasn't really had a place in the meta whatsoever. Only really good going up against tanks, but there's 10 plus better tank counters out there. Lou just really struggling, definitely in need of a buff with the next update. Okay, so coming in at number 54 we have Penny. So Penny been in the bottom 6 brawlers since the beginning of the time. One of the brawlers that always gets kind of ignored with the balance changes, not really good in any single mode. She can be okay as a mid in gem grab, but overall, especially since the removal of Siege as well, Penny just not really finding a place in the meta whatsoever. So next up at number 53 we have Squeak. So again, Squeak since his introduction just been really mediocre across the board. He's got 2 gadgets which are just really bad, not useful whatsoever. His new gadget is pretty much the worst one in the game, so not really helping his kit whatsoever. Got really slow reload speed. Aggro brawlers, especially with the speed gear, just absolutely wreck him in this meta. The only good thing about him is his super that could get potential good damage, but other than that, Squeak really suffering in the meta. Okay, so coming in at number 52 we have Jackie. So if you completely disregard the new game mode payload, Jackie for me is just so trash. She's not really good going into anything. She might be really good on those bushy maps because of the speed gear and her gadget, but since they've kind of reworked her a lot, she's gone from like one of the best brawlers in the game to pretty much one of the worst brawlers in the game. She's not really good anywhere right now. So next up at number 51 we have Bo. So again, Bo really struggling in this type of meta. He's only really good on knockout and in some small circumstances gem grab because of his mine placements, being able to break open the map, but mainly because of his gadget. That's the only reason why he's somewhat okay in this meta. He's able to give people free supers. Other than that, Bo is just really trash. Okay guys, so coming in at number 50 we have Edgar. So if you completely disregard Showdown, then Edgar is easily one of the worst brawlers in the game right now. I just feel like he can barely get kills with Edgar while surviving. Most brawlers in the game will be able to counter Edgar right now, and especially in those 3v3 modes and Power League, Edgar is just seen nowhere. Okay, so next up at number 49 we have Primo. So I don't think Primo is like completely the worst. He definitely is usable when against the correct matchup. So up against those tankier brawlers, he can be really good because of how strong his super is. But overall, there's just a lot better brawlers out there that are just better going into most things. So you rarely see Primo in Power League. Okay, next up at number 48 we have Nita. So when it comes to scrims and Power League, Nita is just never seen, especially when you're playing lane. Nita's just really underwhelming, doesn't do a lot of damage, and I feel like for the most part it just takes really long to get her bare. Other brawlers just get her super a lot quicker and just win lane a lot quicker. Nita really doesn't have a place in the meta right now. Okay, so next up at number 47 we have BB. So BB, again, another brawler that just seems to get power crept with every single update, so that's why I've seen her slowly going down in the rankings. I only really see her in heist or maps with a lot of walls, and as I said, right now just a lot of different brawlers that are just going to be able to beat her in that 1v1 interaction. So yeah, BB not really the best right now. Okay, so next up at number 46 we have Shelly. So Shelly is an incredibly strong brawler on those grassy maps, and especially as like a last pick in Power League up against tanks. There's not really any tank in the game that can beat a Shelly, especially with the shell shock and clay pigeons combination. As I said, on Brawl, really strong brawler, and she's an insane counter pick. Okay, so next up at number 45 we have Dynamite. So in those 1v1 situations, Dynamite isn't completely the best. He really needs to have a good matchup to thrive. So especially in a Power League format, he can be somewhat strong, especially on certain maps like Hot Potato, where going into certain brawlers he can really pop off. But overall in those 1v1s, as I said, there's a lot of brawlers that can counter Dynamite, thus leading to his low ranking. Okay, so next up at number 44 we have Carl. So with the last set of balance changes, Carl seemed like somewhat of a decent pick. The extra range has somewhat helped him, but then as time's gone on, people just realize that Cole still is really trash. It takes such a long time for his pickaxe to come back to him, and just a lot of brawlers in the game right now that can easily just pounce on top of him, especially with like a stun or a knockback feature. And again, with the speed gear, Cole really isn't good in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 43 we have Jessie. So Jessie is somewhat an underrated brawler in the meta, especially going into certain combinations. In Hot Zone, she's really strong if you can get that turret behind a wall, but overall I feel like a lot of brawlers can still overwhelm her. She's got a bit of a slow reload speed, doesn't really output the most damage, but that turret is going to be her lifeline. Alright guys, so next up at number 42, we have Brawl. So Brawl right now, not really the best brawler, but he's definitely good on heist. That's why he's so much higher than some brawlers on the list, because of how strong he is on heist. He can just be insane on maps like Hot Potato with constant pressure, but overall, Brawl won't really win too many 1v1 situations. Alright guys, so coming in at number 41, we have Grom. So a lot of you guys will be pleased by this ranking because of how annoying Grom was in the meta. He was the best brawler by far, and the recent balance changes did actually near enough kill him. He is okay in some game modes like Knockout, but that's only when brawlers like Tick or Sprout are banned, because often you do need to throw it in Knockout. Other game modes he's only okay, and again, one of these brawlers that are really matchup dependent, but I just feel like there's another brawler in Sprout that can just do his role a lot better. He's only really good going into a matchup which you know you can counter. Okay guys, so coming in at number 40, we have Colt. So Colt, another niche brawler where he's only really good on a select few maps and modes. The number one map I can think of is Safe Zone, just because of his wall break gadget and just being able to keep the range okay. But yeah, Colt, not really the strongest brawler, but not exactly the weak. Okay, so next up at number 39, we have Poco. So just the way the things are in Power League and that kind of meta, Poco is one of those brawlers that really relies on the synergy with tanks. So as a standalone brawler, it's going to be really hard for him to thrive, but with those tanks, he's going to be absolutely insane because of his gadget and just overall gameplay with Poco. Definitely an underrated brawler in this meta. Alright guys, so next up at number 38, we have Barley. So although he's got a really low ranking, I don't think Barley by any means is like bad, but the main reason why I point him down here is just because of his pick rate. He's not really picked a lot when it comes to scrims, but when he is picked, it's going to be on maps that have a lot of walls on, so like Hot Potato for example, like Super Stadium. Barley's going to thrive, but overall I just feel like there's a lot of better picks than Barley in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 37, we have Buzz. So Buzz for some reason has been power crept quite a lot. Again, I don't think Buzz is a bad brawler, but again, brawlers like Fang just serve its purpose so much better, and especially since Fang's gadget arrived, Buzz as kind of stun purpose has been kind of eradicated because of how strong that gadget is. But anyways, Buzz not really the strongest. He used to be really strong on Siege because of that gadget. Again, Siege got removed, so not really the best. I don't really see Buzz anywhere in Power League right now. Okay, so next up at number 36, we have B. So B, when in the right circumstances, can absolutely pop off, can 1v3 in some senses, but she really needs that type of scenario. She needs like those wall breakers in either your team or the enemy comp, and there need to be like no counters on the enemy team because of how easy she is to counter as well. But as I said, in the right circumstances, in Brawl, she can really pop off. Alright guys, so next up at number 35, we have Brock. So I feel like Brock finally is balanced in the meta. He's normally one of the best brawlers in the game, or one of the worst, but now with the recent kind of change with Brock, I feel like he's actually a balanced brawler. He's going to be really strong on game modes like Knockout and Heist. He's going to do a lot of damage in Heist, especially with the 4th rocket style power equipped, seen as his Incendiary style power is now baseline, so that's a nice addition for sure. And then also game modes like Knockout is became a bit of a niche pick because of his wall break gadget. Being able to open up the map is a really strong attribute to have. But yeah, Brock so far pretty balanced. Okay, so next up at number 34, we have Amber. So Amber only really thrives on a certain few maps like Double Swoosh, like Ring of Fire. She can do pretty okay because of her super. It allows to break open the grass and counter a lot of brawlers that like the speed gear, but other than that, not really used too much. Okay guys, next up at number 33, we have Frank. So Frank, fairly decent in this meta, can really thrive on certain maps like Super Stadium. He's often used to counter brawlers like Ash, but you gotta be careful because Frank is also easily counterable, but providing the right comp and map, he is fairly decent. Okay, so next up at number 32, we have Mortis. So Mortis has really fallen off in the meta. There's just a lot of different aggro brawlers that are a lot better than him, and there's just so many brawlers that just counter him with like stuns or other gadgets that can really prevent him from getting up close and personal, but providing against the right composition, he can still really pop off. Okay, so next up at number 31, we have Meg. So Meg, surprisingly, is really low on this list. I just really don't see her in practices or Power League anymore. Before, she used to be one of those brawlers that a lot of people just comfort picked her and just picked her like straight away. She was pretty much good going into everything. Only a small nerf, literally making it so her supers take like 2 more hits to get. But it's just crazy how much of an impact it's made on the meta. Literally every single map, I feel like there's just a better brawler for that purpose than Meg, but I'd say overall she's pretty balanced. Alright guys, so coming in at number 30, we have Griff. So with the last set of balance changes, he got a nice buff to his damage. I thought this was going to be a nice change. It might spring him into like the top 10, but I was pretty wrong about it, and a lot of people as well. Like, he was really played a lot when he first came out. I thought it was super strong, but as time has gone on, as the meta has developed, he's gone lower and lower down in the rankings. I just think it's his main attack. Sometimes it can be really hard to hit. His shots, they come out quite slow as well. His super does a lot of damage though, so overall, I think it's a really good pick, especially going into tanks. Okay, next up at number 29, we have 8-bit. So it might be a little bit of a surprise to you guys that 8-bit is this high, but I feel like he's a really strong pick in Power League, especially on gem grab. He's a really good mid. He's pretty much good against everything, and he's extremely good against aggro as well. That's one of the main reasons why I put him so high. It's because he's one of those mid brawlers that isn't really, or doesn't really get countered too heavily by those aggro brawlers, but overall, he's a really solid option, especially in the middle. Okay, so next up at number 28, we have Mr. P. So I feel like Mr. P is in the perfect place in the meta. I feel like Mr. P should always be one of those brawlers that looks to counter those squishier brawlers, but also can get countered easily by aggro, and that's exactly what he is in this meta. You see him quite often going into comps that have like Spike, for example, because he's a really good counter to that, and he can often be used as a mid in maps like Double Swoosh, and also it can just be pretty annoying like in the back on maps like Layer Cake, Dueling Beetles, etc, etc. But I really think that Mr. P is in a solid spot right now. Alright guys, so coming in at number 27, we have Nani. So Nani, as always, a bit of a weird one. She's not really good on every single mode, but when she's on the mode that she thrives in, she's absolutely insane. So we're talking about Heist and Bounty. She's absolutely insane on these game modes. On Heist, use the TP gadget. You can just get so much pressure with a TP into the enemy spawn, and one of the golden picks in Heist on a lot of maps. And then also, of course, in Bounty maps like Shooting Star, Nani's just going to be able to pop off. Okay, so now moving on to number 26, we have Colette. So Colette right now is insane in Heist. One of the best Heist brawlers for sure, especially on maps like Bridge Too Far, Safe Zone. She's really hard to deal with that new gadget. But other than that, she gets countered way too easily on a lot of different maps and modes. Other lanes in the game are just much better. She's only really good on Heist. Okay, so next up at number 25, we have Surge. So Surge has fallen off a little bit in the meta just because of brawlers like Ruffs have kind of resurfaced, and Ruffs is a really amazing counter to Surge. So you kind of see that balance around Ruffs and Surge when one brawler is good, the other one is not so good. But overall, Surge can be good into most things. It can be a really good lane pick on game modes like Brawl, for example. In the right hands, Surge can really pop off. Okay, so next up at number 24, we have Max. So Max is a really balanced brawler right now, especially since the latest buff. He's getting some decent play time, especially in Brawl as in mid, or sometimes to counter other brawlers because of how aggressive she can be with her super, but overall pretty balanced. Okay, so next up at number 23, we have Tara. So Tara, definitely a good lane option in gem grab and Brawl. I feel like often she's overplayed just a little bit because there's just better lane options than her right now. The likes of Spike, Sandy, Ems all can counter Tara pretty well, but overall she is pretty much good into everything. Definitely a strong brawler right now. So coming in at number 22, we have Sprout. So Sprout is definitely a really strong Power League brawler in the sense that you can always pretty much last pick him into like squishy brawlers, and he's going to be carrying for the most part. One of those carry picks for sure. He's going to be really strong on Bounty and Knockout in particular, especially Knockout. If you ban the likes of Tick, for example, he's going to be by far the most dominant thrower, and a good Sprout can really change the tide of the game. So Sprout definitely in a good spot right now. So next up, coming in at number 21, we have my boy Gene. So Gene right now, a really balanced brawler. He can often get countered by brawlers that have those gadgets that can block a lot of things, so like the Ruffs gadget, Spike, Tara, etc, etc. So he does have his counters. He can't obviously pull all brawlers, but overall he's one of those brawlers that you can play really passively, especially on game modes like Bounty, and just play together, heal up your teammates. He's really good into a lot of different things. Okay, so coming in at number 20, we have Tick. So Tick is so strong on Bounty and Knockout, just like Sprout. It just proves to be one of the best brawlers there, especially if the enemy team haven't got a thrower. Like, those throwers can really dominate. So Tick is still really strong. Okay, so next up at number 19, we have Piper. So Piper fallen down a little bit in the meta. I'm not too sure about rankings, but definitely in place of like the mid brawlers. She used to be like the queen of mid, but she's kind of got overtaken by brawlers like Pam, for example, who are just a bit better overall. But she's still so strong and has the potential to really pop off and carry, especially in game modes like Bounty. Okay, so next up at number 18, we have Rosa. So Rosa, a really strong brawler, often banned on maps like Hard Rock Mine, for example, where she can really dominate, especially with the gadget that can create bushes. It just allows her to get more value out of the speed gear. She can be so strong if you don't have the right counter in Power League, and you can see often in drafts they're kind of based around being scared of picks like Rosa. You know, a lot of people pick like Ems, for example, because of how strong Rosa can be going into so many different brawlers. Okay, so next up at number 17 we have Ash. So before the second gadget got nerfed, I would have said that Ash was probably the best brawler in the game. He was so strong with that gadget. Fortunately, that got emergency nerfed, and he slowly worked his way a little bit down the meta, but still really strong, especially if you don't have a counter to him. It can be so strong on maps like Super Stadium. You pair him with like a Byron, for example, and sometimes he just seems unkillable. Okay guys, so coming in at number 16 we have Sandy. So the main reason why Sandy is at number 16 is just because of his pure versatility. He's just pretty much strong or okay on every single mode or map. He can be good going into most things. In some circumstances, I feel like he's a little bit overrated, especially in Power League. Some people just go Power 11 Sandy just because it's one of their early Power 11s, which is understandable. But when it comes to scrims and whatnot, he's not always played just because of aggros. Like aggros can counter Sandy pretty well, but I feel like he's definitely a good counter to some other lane brawlers like Tara, for example. So yeah, Sandy, a really strong brawler right now. Okay guys, so coming in at number 15 we have Daryl. So Daryl was easily one of the best brawlers in the game before the update. He got a sizable nerf to his damage he can take during his super, which was definitely a nice change because he was just way too strong, especially how easy it was to cycle his supers over and over again. I feel like he's in a nice spot, can definitely be one of those really good aggro brawlers, and if you land your role onto one of those brawlers, you can easily get the kills. So across multiple modes, he's really strong, definitely strong right now. Okay, so next up at number 14, you might be surprised by this one, but I believe it's Lola. So Lola is pretty much underrated by a lot of the community, but when it comes to high competitive gameplay, I feel like Lola is definitely one of those brawlers that you can pretty much always rely on. Pretty much good into most things. She only gets countered by a few brawlers, and when it comes to those long range maps like Bridge Too Far, for example, she's gonna do really well once she gets her super. Her gadget just provides so much value. It's so hard to kill that gadget. That's one of the main reasons why she's so strong. Okay, so next up at number 13 we have Stu. So Stu has kind of fallen off a little bit in the meta, still pretty strong seen as his number 13, but overall I don't think he's one of those brawlers that a lot of people just seem to like first pick, second pick, just because there's a lot of counters to him. Brawlers like Spike and Ruffs are really prominent in the meta, and they just remove so much ammo from him, so that's the main reason why he's fallen off a little bit. Okay, so coming in at number 12 we have Rico. So Rico's still proven to be a really good lane, especially when it comes to Brawl and Gem Grab, and even on some hot zone maps as well. He's just an overall great pick. The main reason being, again, is because of his gadget. Like, his gadget just provides so much value. Even after several nerfs, he can still get back to full HP if against the right walls, and it's just really hard to counter a good Rico. Okay guys, so coming in at number 11 we have Ems. So I would say that Ems is pretty much one of the best flex picks when it comes down to Power League. The main reason being is because she's pretty much good against every single lane, but incredibly strong against those aggro brawlers, and that's what a lot of people are scared about in Power League. When we're talking about certain game modes like Brawl, like Gem Grab, for example, a lot of teams just first pick Ems because, again, it's just good going into everything. So that's why Ems is so strong, just really good across the board. Okay guys, so now jumping into the best 10 brawlers in the game right now. At number 10 we have Leon. So Leon's still really good in this meta. Slowly people are figuring out that maybe he's a little bit overrated when it comes to certain modes. Example like Bounty, like sometimes it was often a little bit overplayed. Like he can get countered to brawlers like Mr. P that can take down his gadget, but I feel like Leon is still really strong. I still see him often used even on maps like Sneaky Fields as a mid, which is pretty crazy to think about, but overall in the right setting, Leon can really cycle his supers and pop off. Alright guys, so now jumping into the 9th best brawler in the game right now, we have Belle. So Belle, still in the top 10 brawlers in the game, literally since her introduction in Brawl Stars. She's been a top 10 brawler easily every single time. So Belle, good across the board, especially when it comes to those passive maps. She can really pop off because it forces a lot of pressure. Once you hit a few shots, it's going to bounce off the enemies and create a lot of pressure. And also her Nest Egg gadget going to be really good when it comes to game modes like Knockout and Bounty, because it essentially offers you a free kill. Belle is just really good across the board. Okay, so now moving into the 8th best brawler in the game right now, we have Ruffs. So I feel like Ruffs has made their biggest change in the meta when it comes down to his placings. You before he was really underwhelming, didn't really do the most damage, and a lot of people could just walk all over him. But now Ruffs can really hold his own, especially on a lane. You see him pretty much used everywhere because of how strong he is. Got a really good gadget. His super can provide a lot of value, breaking open the map, and also giving it to your teammates, giving them more HP and damage. Just feel like Ruffs is in a really solid place right now. Definitely one of the best brawlers. Okay, so now moving into the 7th best brawler in the game right now, we have Crow. So I feel like Crow has sneakily made his way up the list. And again, people are just finally realizing how strong he is countering those brawlers that are really good in the grass. He's just good at pretty much into everything. There's only a few counters to Crow, and he can pretty much play him everywhere. A lot of teams playing Crow even as a mid when it comes to like maps like Sneaky Fields, for example. He's definitely a good option. He can counter a lot of those meta brawlers like Leon even, for example. That's why Leon's kind of slowed down a little bit in the meta, because of brawlers like Crow. Just overall really strong into pretty much everything. Okay, so now moving into the 6th best brawler in the game right now, we have Pam. So Pam continues to be one of the best brawlers in the game, just purely because of how strong she is as a mid. Not many mids can deal with those aggro brawlers like Fang, Rosa, Mortis, etc, etc. They're really hard to deal with on certain maps, but Pam, being just a beast that she is, especially with the gadget, can really hold her own. Then once you get your super, you can really push it up against the wall. Pretty much every single mode and map you can get away with playing Pam. Okay, so now moving into the 5th best brawler in the meta right now, we have Gale. So Gale has really jumped up high in the meta, and it's only a small buff that he's received to his star power, which gives him an extra 0.5 seconds in his stun duration, but it has really helped him as a mid, as a lane, going into those aggressive brawlers. Pretty much every single lane, once he has that super, he can just throw them into a wall, and he can pretty much cycle his super again. And that was the really toxic thing about Gale back when it was meta like over a year ago, and now they've kind of reintroduced that. So Gale just proves to be such a strong pick on so many different maps and modes. Alright guys, so jumping into the 4th best brawler in the game right now, we have Spike. So Spike proves to be one of the best brawlers in the game still. He's just good into pretty much everything. Even if the enemy hard counters you, you can still play your matchup right and win it. He's just so strong. He has a really annoying star power. His gadget can be really good at wasting a bunch of ammo for the enemy and can counter so many of those lane brawlers. And also his super can be really good at blocking off a bunch of chokeholds. It really delays the enemies coming forward and can really get you some good pressure on the map. So Spike, just really good at going into pretty much everything, every single mode map. He's so dominant. Alright guys, so jumping into the 3rd best brawler in the game right now, we have Fang. So it's a hard decision between the top 3. Honestly, all of them could replace each other, but put Fang at number 3 just because sometimes it can take a little bit too long to get into the game. But once you get that super and you don't waste it, Fang is incredibly broken. I'm sure you guys have faced off against the Fang or played Fang yourself and just flew around the map just so fast with his super. A lot of the times you don't even need to aim with Fang. You just spam auto aim on that super, especially if the enemies are one shot, and you're going to be bouncing literally across the map. You're just able to kill enemies so easily. He's also got a broken gadget as well with his stun, so even brawlers that countered him before, you can just stun them and still get some good value. And especially brawlers that have those gadgets or supers that are spawnable and are about to die, you can just super on them and get your super straight back and just still fly across the map. Fang is just incredibly broken right now. Alright guys, so jumping into the 2nd best brawler in the game right now, we have Byron. So Byron proves to be one of the best flex picks in the game right now. By that I mean is that he's pretty much good into everything. He's one of the best brawlers in the game for this reason. In a power league, you can pretty much go Byron everywhere, every single map, every single mode. You're going to be getting value out of Byron. He's so strong when paired well with assassin brawlers, but even those sniper brawlers he can be paired well. There's just so many synergies that you have with Byron. It just makes him such a hard brawler to deal with. And one of the most annoying things about Byron is his like assassin ability with his super. Like sometimes you feel like you're safe with Byron, and then he's like a couple of like a shot off his super, he's able to throw it over the wall and finish you off so easily and just continue to cycle over and over again. He's just such a strong brawler, definitely in need of a nerf. Alright guys, so now jumping into the best brawler in the game right now, we have Eve. So Eve, after some playtesting, after seeing some scrims and competitive, I just feel like Eve is the best brawler in the game. There's not really any true counters to Eve except for Fang, I believe, and a lot of pros share these same values. She's just absolutely insane. She has the range of Piper, I believe, but just deals so much consistent damage. She can float across water. Her super can waste a lot of ammo off the enemy, and even as a mid, or a lane, she's going to be able to dominate so easily. There's not really any weak matchups to Eve. Trust me, Eve is absolutely broken. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of my rankings in the comment section below. Always looking for suggestions and feedback on these type of videos. And also, even if you wanted, put your own tier list in the comment section below as well. I'll be looking through all of them. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.